another season of NYJFTV. I'm one of your hosts, Kevin Sirkin, and we are fired up to be back in studio for season 2, joined by Fireman Ed and Rob Carpenter. Alright, so fellas, it's been a few months away. A lot has changed with the team, so let's just jump right into it. What are your thoughts on how McCagnon has approached this offseason so far, including some of the veterans that the team has decided to part ways with, as well as some of the changes that they've made with the coaching staff?
My only disappointment, I didn't want to see Nick go. I thought he still had something left in the tank. So I didn't want to see Nick go. But other than that, I didn't have any problem with all of whoever, Brandon wants to play on a contender. So, I mean, I hated losing him. I love Brandon. I didn't want him to go to the Giants. But I figured he was going to the Patriots. So it was one of them. It was either one. He was going to the Patriots, he was going to the Giants. I was kind of hoping he was going to the Ravens because I was hearing he was going to go to the Ravens. I was like, okay, I can deal with that. But he's going to youth movement. And, it's probably time. I would say it's time that they're, let these young guys play and see what happens. You don't know who's behind the helm. You don't know who's going to be the quarterback. You don't know who's going to come out of this. They got Josh McCown. I thought that was a nice, solid move. You're hearing nothing but great things about him in the locker room itself, and a teacher and holding the fort, right?
He's their coach right now.
Yeah. So I like that, and we'll see if Hackenberg or Petty could emerge and take this thing over, unless he's going to draft a quarterback, which I hope that would puzzle the hell out of me if he starts doing that. So.
Well, I kind of figured that the veterans that were released were going to be released. I think about this time, it was time for a change at center. Most of the veteran offensive linemen that have been around for years and years and years, Father Time is undefeated, so you can't beat Father Time. And just, you can tell the last 2 years that it was taking toll on Nick. So, we started getting nicked up. No pun intended, but
it's true.
And his ways with the offensive line, they just kind of diminished. And when the young kid actually took over when he got hurt, the rushing game improved, and the actual passing game improved. So that's a sign right there. And McCagnon actually re-signed with it. So that's something that I was anticipating. But the rest of the moves that were made.
Are you surprised by Revis?
No, I wasn't surprised at all. I thought it was time for him as well. If he's not going to move to safety, he doesn't have it where the Revis that we all know, the guy who can go out, be at corner, lock down that side of the field, and no questions asked. He's not that guy. So
that fell off in a hurry, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. And I think for him,
no warning.
The injuries actually hampered him as well. You can't work out in the offseason. Come back to start the season not in the shape that you're supposed to be in, and then kind of trying to rely on your past aura out there. Young guys don't care about that. They look at him like, beat this old man like a drum, and that's basically what was happening. So it's time to give a lot of young guys a chance, and I think that's what McCagnon was doing. Didn't bring in a super vet at QB. Like you said, McCown is a guy that actually basically right now a QB coach.
That made sense.
Yeah.
Do you think he's actually going to be a part of the quarterback competition?
I do.
Training camp?
I do. And I wouldn't be surprised if they don't draft a quarterback. I wouldn't be surprised if McCown actually start the first couple of games. And it's only the reason why I say that is because he's that veteran guy. You actually want the team to get off on a good start. Not to say that he's a guy that's going to go out there and light it up, but you have a vet around a lot of other veterans. Especially the veterans that they're on defense, because there is a lot of veterans on defense. They look for a guy who's actually going to go out on the field to be a veteran at QB to just get the season jump started.
With 2 young guys at quarterback, though, don't you think it's almost more important that we get those guys some reps, especially last year, considering
it's going to happen.
Was the fourth quarterback?
It's going to happen. They're going to get their reps. I don't think it's going to be like anything like last year when you saw where Hack was the guy who never got any reps in practice. They just basically said wasn't ready. For all of training camp, I believe all these OTAs that come up to training camp, I believe all these guys are going to be in competition. But I just think, Count's going to be the guy to start the season, probably, 3-4 games in. But it's Benny the Hack. One of those guys probably going to take over and then, finish up the season if they can.
All the signs are pointing to, just the 2 coaches that they brought in, Jeremy Bates, and they brought in Morton.
Yep.
I mean, these guys have been around big time quarterbacks, and so their resume speaks for itself. Maybe that everybody doesn't know them, but in reality, this is their whole point. I mean, they brought in these guys to try to
right the ship.
Yeah, and speed the process a little bit. Maybe they can get these kids to get, we got to see where it goes. You got to get out there and get the reps. So we'll see where it goes.
Through OTAs into training camp, the sign is going to be there. Morton can get these guys actually up and running. Whichever one is actually grasping it the fastest is going to be the guy that's there. So
that's
and that sign will be told early on in training camp. So
these are going to be no excuses. I mean, they're going to have an opportunity to make their way. The good thing is it's the second, Hackenberg's second year. I was glad they didn't play him last year. He said he wasn't ready, and I'm okay with that. Plus,
I think that's the one thing that kind of goes under the radar too. All the fans were going nuts at the fact that they didn't start Hackenberg in week 17. I give the Jets a lot more credit for sticking with their plan, and they decided before the season started that they were going to redshirt him. So credit to them for sticking with it.
Petty's the one that suffered from it. I mean, really. I mean, these guys are missing blocks. I mean, these guys are coming in. You got, what was it, Sue and Wake? I think it was the two of them. They almost decapitated Petty. I can't believe he's alive. I mean, just that hit alone. I mean, took him up in the air. Like, oh my God.
Fitz got hurt. Gino goes in. Gino gets hurt.
Right.
Petty goes in. Petty gets hurt. How would you put Hackenberg in that situation?
Exactly. Nothing good would have came from it.
Yeah, let Fitz finish out what he started and just let that season slide and move on.
And so with all the guys that they did get rid of, I was surprised that they were pretty quiet in free agency. They did sign Kelvin Beachum, they brought back winners, but and we're just Mo Claiborne as well.
Yeah.
So were there any surprises from you guys that you saw in free agency, or some guys they thought they were going to go after that they didn't?
I just like the idea that they did address the offensive line. Our best player, Winters, we drafted and has come on. I mean, they locked him up. I mean, now you got your two guards for the next 3 years. You got Carpenter and him. Hopefully, like Rob says, Wesley Johnson. I don't know if I'm as high, but Wesley Johnson, I'm hoping he does, make him, But they got Beachum. That was a big free agent signing. I mean, they tried to get him last year. I don't know what Jacksonville was thinking. He got nicked up, and all of a sudden, he in 1 year, you signed him multi-year, and you're gonna tell me in 10 games it's over? I mean, that didn't make any sense to me. So and that's a plus for us. So here you are. You hope that the kid Shell, he looked like he showed some progress in the last 3 games. I think we'd all agree on that. And now he's got another year under his belt. I mean, we start solidifying this offensive line, because whoever we put back there, what's the point if these guys, now if we can get Howard, I mean, now we're looking at this a little different now. We're starting to look at the team a little differently in that offensive line, and now maybe Hackenberg or Petty can come in there and actually have a little to make their reads. They can actually make their reads without getting decapitated.
I think that's a big thing right now. Whether it's going to be tight end or a running back, wideouts are pretty much solidified. Those guys are going to go make plays for whatever quarterback is out there. O-line is being solidified. Whoever quarterback is needs to turn around and be able to hand the ball off to a good running back. Forte's still here, Bilal is still here, and Bilal is going to be making plays, all season, as long as he can stay healthy. And if it's Howard, that'd be awesome, because then you solidify basically the whole offense. You got a young quarterback to do whatever he can do, whether it's throwing the ball downfield. You got a tight end to occupy the middle of the field and who can block, and you got good running.
All right, so now that we've covered everything in the offseason, let's transition it over to the draft. Big question seems to be whether or not the Jets are going to take quarterback 6. So Ed, start it off.
Well,
what do you think?
I don't want to see them take quarterback at 6, because that, to me, that makes me question the GM. When I'm going to start questioning the GM, that's going to be a major problem, because now I'm, this is the leader. This is the guy that's running the personnel on the team. And if he's questioning why did he take Hackenberg, and now you're going to take a quarterback at 6, then I'm going to be very confused. That's going to really disappoint me. So I'm hoping that don't happen.
I don't think he's going to take a quarterback. This is my personal opinion. Hopefully O.J. Howard is there.
Yeah.
Take that, and he's the guy that I actually think can solidify the offense for whatever quarterback is around, whether it's Hackenberg, Petty, McCown, whoever it is. And I definitely know if McCown starts the season, he's definitely going to help him out.
Yep.
McCown's a vet, and he likes throwing the ball down the middle of the field to a good tight end. But I don't think the quarterback thing is going to be there. I just think if he stays at 6, hopefully it's Howard. And I know they're looking in that direction pretty hard. I think they're actually looking in the direction if Howard's not there, probably Fournette. Or a pick like I'm not too keen on, might be one of the safeties. But at 6, I don't think it's going to be.
If they do go safety, who is your preference, Adams or Hooker?
Adams. I think he's actually a sure fit guy. He can play free or strong. He's definitely a short tackler. That's for sure. Not saying that Malik Hooker is not a guy that actually can work well back there, because he's a guy that can go sideline to sideline. He's a ball hawk. And I think that's what's needed back there as well. But Adams is that guy, I think, that can solidify defensive backfield, from either spot, free safety or strong safety.
I don't want to see them get a defensive back. There's a lot of defensive backs in this draft, so they say. So I mean, I don't know why we go at 6 in that route when we have a lot of different needs we need, and that's not one of them, as far as I'm concerned. That high of a pick.
Right.
So I'm hoping that don't happen. There's 2 things I want to see happen. O.J. Howard be on the board. I believe they will take him. Otherwise, maybe we'll get lucky and Cleveland does want Trubisky. Those rumors you're hearing, it's when there's smoke, there's usually fire. So there's a lot of smoke being said that they want to keep to Myles Garrett, the Browns, and then go up and grab the quarterback, which would be a coup for them.
Yeah.
And it'd be nice to us get rewarded that 12th pick, and we'll probably get a 2nd and a 3rd, or a 2nd and a 4th. Or we're gonna,
I would love to pair up with Cleveland for that 12 and 33.
That would be good, but my first choice is I would like Howard. Like, if they gave me the choice of draft, trade, or Howard, I want Howard, because when Rob was saying Kellen Winslow.
If you go down to 12, Howard's not going to be there.
So assuming the Jets do trade back, let's say they get the 12th pick, who are some guys you think that they would target at 12?
I think then they would probably target the defensive side of the ball. Then I do think there would be one of the safety guys. Adams will probably be gone. Hooker might be there around 12. Hopefully, well, not hopefully. I'm not hoping it for his sake, but with the Reuben Foster fiasco that's been going on.
He could be there in the 2nd round.
Very true.
Talking right now.
We're talking, but I don't think if he drops down in the 1st round, some of the better teams, they won't go past him. I could see if he was to actually start falling in the 1st round, Pittsburgh wouldn't let that guy go by. That's just their type of guy. But he's a guy that he's had this shortcomings lately, and I'll take him at his word for what has gone on with this little thing with the drug fiasco. If he's overloaded on water, and that was something that he said he did, who's to say that it didn't happen? But he's going into the program, and that's just how it's going to be. They checked his records for everything out that is going on in Alabama. He never had positive tests before, other than this one. So, you kind of got to think something there might have gone wrong with the test. But with the Forsters there, down at 12, I would definitely hope they would actually look to take him and not hope that something happens where he falls into the 2nd round. Just off those rumors. But he's a guy that would solidify defense for 10 years. He's a guy that'd
be nice.
Yeah, he's a tackling machine, man. You can't pass him up.
Ed, what are some guys you like in the middle of the 1st round?
I don't know. Trading down. You're gonna accumulate. Hopefully, get other guys on your 2nd and 3rd round. My heart is kind of set on that tight end, and I'd like to see them get a pass rusher or somebody off the edge.
Charles Harris.
I know they talk about the kid from Missouri, Harris. At that point, you really don't. It's all you're relying on your scouts, and you're not privy enough to know who's going to be that magical guy. I love when I hear the can't miss. Because you don't hear that too many times. So the O.J. Howard being there, that is, when you get guys like that, once a decade. I mean, you just hope you can be that team that lands that guy. That's what. So when we get down to 12, I don't know who they'll wind up going after at that point. I I'd have to see who's on the board at that point.
I just don't think it'll be a defensive guy. It wouldn't be another offensive guy.
Yeah, probably.
Think they would look at McCaffrey?
I don't think so.
No.
I don't think he's a guy that would be that high in the first round.
It's like a Bilal Powell, isn't he?
Yeah, I was just going to say, and he's a basic Bilal Powell guy. We've got one of those. A guy that can stretch the field when he put him out at wide receiver. Gets the ball out of the backfield, great. He's definitely tough in between the tackles. Not saying that a guy like McCaffrey wouldn't be a difference maker because he can do a lot. He return kicks, he can return punts. He's that guy. But that high, I don't think McCaffrey would be a good choice.
So based on the current makeup of the roster right now, what position do you think is most vital for McCaffrey to hit on in this draft?
Tight end.
Absolutely.
And hopefully, as we've said a few times here, Howard is there. He has to take that guy because that's going to solidify the O for whatever young quarterback is in there. And sooner or later they'll fulfill out the offensive line just to help him out. But to get that stud tight end in there, and Howard is that guy. That's a guy that that's one of the can't miss guys in my personal opinion out of this draft. And if he's there at 6, Mac has to take him.
Especially when you're rebuilding, you got to know what to say.
You got a young team, a really young offense that's going to have a young quarterback, and you have guys that are at running back. Matt Forte is a great vet to have. Bilal Powell has come into his own, and everybody knows that he's a guy that can make plays. But and we have the wide receivers that can make plays as well. You just need that tight end, and OJ Howard is there at 6. He has to take him, and he has to know that a young quarterback's best friend is a good tight end, and he's that guy.
They need to address like he says, the tight end position. I mean, in the first 3 picks, I want to see them address the tight end. If they don't get Howard, I think in the second round, I think somewhere along the line they need to get another tight end in there because they got about 5 or 6. It's something like 8 guys in the tight end position, right, in this draft that are real good players, right? They get Ingram. They got the kid from Michigan. They got the kid from Miami, right? So I mean, I'll never be down on them drafting offensive linemen. I'm never going to be down on that. So if they, depending on where they are at that point, I mean, second round or whatever, I mean, I want to see them get offensive line. We were just talking about I'd like to see them get a big running back somewhere along the line. Because a lot of times last year we were in 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1, and we couldn't get 1 yard. I mean, they were throwing the ball on 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1. We don't have Brady. I mean, we're not, you need to play old school football at that point, especially when you get these young kids that are going to come in here and be playing, probably going to be the quarterback. You need some help there. Those 3rd and 1s are going to be crucial for us to keep the drive alive. I mean, these 3 and outs are killers for.
And as you just said,
young quarterbacks,
those 3rd and 1s, and I think the offense is going to transform back a little bit to a little more the running game,
old school.
Yeah, because that's going to help out the young quarterbacks as well.
That's where that tight end comes
exactly,
in, right?
Exactly. And Mac seems like from the beginning of the offseason, he's looking to address the fullback position. So that lets us know as well that
back to ground and pound.
Yeah, back to the whole ground and pound. And,
where did that Toby go? Where did you talking about? Where did he wind up going? Did he sign him? Mike Tolbert? Because that'd be a nice little,
I think they will add a fullback though before the season starts. Bring back.
I've seen Idzik just signed him.
Oh, did he?
Last week.
Oh.
Just signed Bohannon. Yeah, Bohannon was. I follow him on Twitter, and he went to Jacksonville.
So based on not only the current young guys that are on the roster, but also with the talent in the draft, are there any positions that you think that they should avoid in the early rounds?
I just think they should avoid
defensive lineman. I mean, how many we gonna get?
Seems inevitable that we're gonna go back.
I was just going to say, I think we need to avoid the
a nice pass rush would be great. I mean, the defensive end would be nice, but if that could fall in your lap, which is there's not too many of them.
No, it's not too many. But stay away from the D-line early on in the draft. Now, don't get me wrong, middle rounds. There's still going to be some guys there.
Yeah, that's different.
You can address
or quarterback. Don't be drafting a quarterback neither. I mean, come on.
Early on,
early on.
We need to address tight end, running back, O-line, and
a pass rusher.
Yeah, and possibly a pass rusher, actually just that inside linebacker. Those are the positions right there. But stay away from D-line early in this draft.
You think when all said and done, Harris will be with the team for the whole year, David?
I think so.
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah.
So let's finish with this. Assuming McCagnon does hit on a couple day one starters, what are your expectations for 2017?
Hard to say. It's very hard to say at this point when you don't know who's going to actually step up to be the quarterback. I mean, you can wind up this year where Hackenberg and Petty just get outplayed by Josh McCown, and he winds up playing, 5-6 games in, and all it takes in this league, like Rob says, you start, you go 3-3 or something, and they're going, hold on, we ain't putting no young court, especially the defense, like you said, with the defensive players going, hold on, we're 3-3 here. We're gonna play until we get this thing.
Out.
We're gonna get the young guy again. So I'm hoping that one of those young guys emerge from, after these OTAs and then into training camp, and you start seeing some real glimmer of hope that. I can remember when Hackenberg came into that preseason game and he threw that touchdown and how excited. And I remember Bowles being excited, so. I keep hearing he can't throw it in the lake. I mean, I want to know, I just want to know if this kid, and I'm hoping, like we all are, if this kid does play well, why don't you step up after he plays well and say that you were wrong, that you couldn't throw it through a lake. I mean, can we give the kid a shot first? Can he have a moment? Can we give him a moment? They already got this kid written off. He didn't play it down.
That's a lot of media stuff.
It makes me nuts when I hear fans go, Hackenberg. What do you mean Hackenberg? He didn't even get in yet. That's a boy. That's a boy. There you go.
We are ready.
There you go. You gotta believe. You gotta believe in something. I don't want to hear it until he can't do it. Let's hope he can.
Once the season
defeatist
starts,
attitude.
Once the season starts, it's going to be. Right now, it's a little hard to tell. But playoff team, I don't think so.
No.
1-15, I don't think it's that bad either. But
there's talent on the team.
Yeah, there's enough talent on this team.
So if we're talking about being a team that's between somewhere around like 5, 6 to 10 wins, whatever it could possibly fall at, I just can't see a scenario where Josh McCown is starting games for this team at 38 years old. Looking at the rest of the roster with how
the whole season.
No, whole season. No,
I don't see that.
Even starting the season.
I do think
he could
he's
possibly
probably going to start the season. It's just he's a veteran guy. He's been around enough where Petty and Hackenberg are still going to be learning stuff that he already knows. And I do believe that they signed him for him to help those guys.
Plus, they're on the road the first 2 games.
Yeah.
Remember, the schedule plays into it. You're going up to Buffalo. Then you're going to Oakland, okay? And Oakland's a Super Bowl favorite. So, you got to keep in mind that, you're putting Hackenberg out there. These are things that you have to, you got to look long term. Like you said, we're probably not making the playoffs. Well, you got to think along the lines of future, and are we going to hurt this kid by playing him the first 2 games? Maybe we hold off and we play him in the 3rd game. Maybe when they come home to Miami and they play Jacksonville. You got to see where it's.
He had a full season to sit.
Think about the scenario when Eli Manning first started.
Yeah.
Kurt was there, and he played the first 4 or 5 games before Eli actually got into the lineup. Because he was young, even though he's the top pick for the Giants, he was young. He had to learn a little bit.
Yes.
Let Kurt go out there and do what he can,
exactly.
to solidify the veterans on the team.
That's a very good point.
And then, all right,
very
Eli,
good point.
Now it's yours, and take over.
That's a very good point.
I just think that McCown is that they signed McCown to be that guy. First couple of games, as you said, first 2 games on the road, Buffalo, Oakland. McCown has been around. He's played those teams. Let him go out, try to see what he can do, keep the vets happy. See if he can actually pull out a victory in one of those games, or maybe both. You never know. And then from that point on, whether it's going to be Petty or Hackenberg, filter him in, and then let whoever it is going to be able to take over.
And confidence level is a major part of it. You know, you're not babying them. You're using your brain going, okay, well, we're going to put them in the black hole. This team is loaded, the Raiders. I mean, that's a smart move. I would be questioning my coaching staff. What are you doing? You know, so let's see what goes on before we get to that point.
Yeah. And McCown's going to be the guy who actually he's not going to fret about being pulled out of the lineup. Like I said earlier, I think he's the guy that was signed to help the young guys, and eventually he'll be that coach on the side.
Yeah, hopefully he doesn't call out ownership if
he
Jets do put him on the bench.
It won't be a Fitz type of thing. No, not at all.
Well, that's going to do it for us. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Make sure you're following us at NYJFTV on Twitter and on Instagram. Also, give Jets Fan Media a follow on Twitter and Instagram as well. And we'll see you guys again after the draft.
Hang in there. Hang in there. You're a Jet fan. You love them no matter what. You love them. Now you find out who the fans are, because ain't nobody giving us any shot. We got no shot. We're horrible, this whole bit. Now you find out who the fans are. All right? Because they'll all be on board if we start taking off. Taking off. You know what I mean? Taking off. Jets, Jets, Jets.
See you soon.